This is a more detailed video on how I do my eyebrows, and everything I use is going to be by Anastasia, Beverly Hills. As always, I'm going to use a spoolie, and I just comb through both eyebrows and separate all the hairs and put them in the place that I would like. And because in my videos I always say how I leave the ends open for a more natural look, this is what I'm going to explain in this. So the first eyebrow I'm doing is where I'm going to close everything off, and I'm starting out with the Brow Wiz, and I'm using the shade Soft Brown. I start on the inner side of the eyebrow on the bottom half, and I just outline it all the way over to the arch, and then I do the same thing to the top. After the top and the bottom outlining of my eyebrow both meet the arch, this is where I'm going to close it off, and I'm going to connect those two lines back to the front of the eyebrow to give it more of a squared off look. And then I go through and fill that in, and then I take it very lightly to the arch of the eyebrow and then go back in with the spoolie. Now I'm taking the brow powder, and this is in dark brown, and I'm using the other end of the spoolie, which is the angled brush. And what I do is I tap that right down the center of the pressed powder to where the light and the dark are both on the brush at the same time. As always, when applying this, you start where the eyebrow is more thick, and you just do light strokes until you feel like you've filled in the front part. And then after you're done filling in the front, there's not going to be a lot left on your brush, so you just take that and drag it through the tail end of the eyebrow so you don't have too much product on. Moving back to the front part of the eyebrow with a clean brush, I'm going to use the lighter side of the powder and tap any excess off. And I'm going to do the same thing I did with the pencil, and that is just going to connect the lines and close that off and make that nice and even with the rest of my eyebrow. I really take my time with this part because I want it to be nice and even and have very nice clean lines. Also, in this video I am doing this very dark so it will show up on camera better. So my eyebrows do look very drastic right now, but even then, if you're not meaning for it to be drastic, that is what the spoolie comes in handy for. You take that back through and it helps spread around the product and lighten out some of those harsh lines that you might have, and it'll remove any excess. Now for my other eyebrow, this is the one that I'm going to do a more natural look, which is what I do in most of my videos. And you do the same thing. You start on the inner half and on the bottom part, which is just what I prefer, and take that all the way over to the arch. And after I have the top and the bottom outlined very well, I'll fill everything in and then move on to the tail. And when I do the tail of the eyebrow, I do that very light because I want that natural look, so I don't want the pencil line to be too obvious. Also, because of that natural look, when I'm filling in the eyebrow, I start going lighter and lighter the closer I get to the inner corner of it, and that is what's going to give it the more open, natural look. Then I'm going to take the spoolie and comb through and remove all the excess that I have on there, put the hairs back in place, and again, just to spread around the product real well. And the same as last time, I take that same angled brush and just go right down the middle of the pressed powder, and I start where the eyebrow is more thick once again, and as I spread that around, I'm going to slowly move to the tail. And once again, when I'm in the inner part of the eyebrow, I'm going to do that very light, just like I did with the Brow Wiz. I'll leave the outlining of it kind of dark, but as far as the filling in goes, I keep that very light and let it fade into a darker as I get towards the middle of my eyebrow. Once again, I'm taking the spoolie through that, and I'm just removing any of the harsher lines that I have, and then I look and check and see if there's any other places that I need to touch up with it before moving on to the last step, which is the clear brow gel. Usually I will put this on just a thin coat through it, but because right now my eyebrows are completely different from each other, I'm going to go in and make the other one match before I apply this gel. So right there is the difference. One is more natural and the other is more squared off.